What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith. I'm here today with my special guest, Arrik Wren, and also my co-host, Adrian Campbell. And today, Toto, we're going to take and talk about every NFL team's final cuts, okay? So if you're a Bengals fan, if you're a Chiefs fan, Broncos fan, whatever the fan group that you are part of, all right, go to that part of the video because we're going to talk about it. Every team we're going to sprinkle a lot of love in, sometimes just a little loving, but man, we're going to talk about these cuts because I've never seen a UDFA deadline cut like this ever. We're going to talk about Zappy, right? We're going to talk about the quarterback from TCU who got cut, Max Duggan. We're going to talk about him today. I mean, there's so much stuff to talk about. So being for a live show, we're going to have a great time today. Also, before we start the show, be sure to smash that subscribe button. That helps to take and grow the channel and grow the brand. We appreciate you guys. Let's go ahead and let's kick this off. Before we do that, Arrik Wren and also as well, Adrian Campbell, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Yeah, man, I'm solid. I mean, the season is almost upon us, man, and I would be remiss if we didn't start this episode out like the right way. I know we're gonna laugh, we're gonna get these jokes in, we're gonna get our commentary off, but like on the real, I just want to remind everybody there's a human element to this. There's a lot of people's dreams that kind of died today. A lot of people that this is the end of their NFL career, right? Like, and this is something that these kids have worked for all their lives. There's a lot of vets that are now realizing that their NFL career is now coming to an end as well. So there's like some very real implications to the stuff that's happened today. I don't want to diminish that, but that said, we gonna get these jokes off and we gonna have this commentary.
Let's get it, fellas. We got a Dolphins fan, we got an Eagles fan, and we have a Rams fan. So let's get it. But again, when we cover this, it's all unbiasedly. Also, if y'all follow the show, you guys take and know that some of these guys we're gonna talk about today, we've had them on the show, like we know personally. Mm-hmm. We know personally, like Muhammad Ibrahim, he was a casualty, right? There's Tyler Huseman from the Chargers got cut today. True Williams from the Dolphins. I mean, there's Anthony Montalvo. List goes on. Like, we know these cats, friends of the show. So we're not only insiders, but as well, we're going to take and talk about this, right? So, but let's go. Let's kick it off with the Arizona Cardinals. We're going to go in alphabetical order, okay? Arizona Cardinals roster cuts. Man, crazy to take and see Matt Hack. He's been on like every team is like every year is like 1 to 2 teams he hops on. Looking on here, they're pretty much tanking. They've sent the message in the air that the Arizona Cardinals are tanking. Would you guys agree?
I've never seen a team telegram what they're doing for the season like the Cardinals are telegraphing. I think the move that they made to acquire who is it? Josh Dobbs, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
They brought in Josh Dobbs, and the fact that they cut Colt McCoy, you see it right there on the screen. They cut Colt McCoy. For the record, right? I'm not saying that Colt McCoy is a great quarterback, but like he has played well for them in relief when Kyler has been injured. Yeah, man. Once I saw them doing Colt, I was like, oh, they're done. I said they're done with Kyler. He's not going to play a snap this year. They're going to keep that boy in the plastic wrap. They're keeping him in the plastic wrap. Somebody else going to have to open that next year for Christmas.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the next team, man. We got the Atlanta Falcons. Now, Atlanta, those who don't know, they were really scrappy. They obviously missed the playoffs last year, but they were a scrappy team. They lost to some teams that they should have beat, and then they also beat some teams they shouldn't have beat. So very interesting. They brought in a pretty good-sized class here, man. Any names stand out here to you guys?
I wouldn't say a particular name. I would say just the quantity of how many O-line they got rid of.
That's a lot. You see that?
A whole lot. Talking about Colby Tucker, Jalen Mayfield, Barry Wesley. I mean, that's a whole lot for a team that's searching for an O-line to protect their young quarterback in Ritter.
But I also think that speaks to the quality of O-line play in the league over the last few years, right? Where you're getting these kids that are coming out of college on the defensive side of the ball. They're studs, they're starters day one, but the development, we haven't really seen it there for the offensive line. So it's almost like you have to bring in a large number of guys trying to address this issue and hope that one of them shows something that you like. So I don't necessarily think that that's a reflection of, maybe their inability to draft that position or evaluate that position. I think it speaks more to the lack of development in the O-line at the college level. Like I said, every year it's like 3 or 4 guys that pretty much can't miss on the offensive line. And even then, sometimes that's a thing. Like Mekhi Becton, right? Like he just got announced that he's going to be the starter. And there was a moment where it was very real for Mekhi that he may not be on the roster, bro. Like he could have played his last snap for the Jets. So, and he was, I think his rookie year, he's probably like the most dominant college right tackle that we ever seen come out, or most dominant tackle in a long time. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know. It's kind of hard hitting on these guarantees, right? Like these can't miss prospects, because some of them, you absolutely can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, man. This has been people like Mekhi Becton, man. He's such a mauler. Hopefully he get his health underway, because obviously that stuff you can't fake it, you know what I mean, kind of thing. So moving on to the Baltimore Ravens. Baltimore Ravens are definitely gearing up. They didn't bring in a super big class, and I remember seeing this before. Obviously Melvin Gordon, wow, I thought he was going to make the team.
No way.
I thought he was gonna make the team, maybe running back number 4 or something like that, right? Because he does have that history. But those fumbles scare away a lot of teams, man. And I don't know if he quite has that confidence he once took and had. You guys have any thoughts on these Baltimore Ravens?
Melvin Gordon's brand is bigger than his talent. That's the only reason why he got a look in the first place. The roster cuts for Baltimore don't surprise me at all. This is a team that, if you look on both sides of the ball with the moves that they've made in the offseason, they really focused on getting some weapons for Lamar. I think they've done that, provided these weapons can stay healthy. I think that's been health has been the biggest issue for Baltimore for the last few seasons. So if everything can stay, if they can stay 80 to 90% healthy on both sides of the ball, that roster was already stacked from top to bottom. They were just filling out depth. None of these guys here would have sniffed the starting lineup.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. All right, moving on to the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills running back Darrington Evans, very familiar with his work. Thought he was going to make the team, man. Very, very, very good player. They're a pretty well established team, so it's which is nice when you bring in a big, and respect to the Buffalo Bills, even though they're our rival for the Dolphins. It's nice to take and see a team bringing such a big class, because you shows that they're number one. They're taking the winning seriously, and no one should feel safe on the roster. If you ain't winning the Super Bowl, man, you shouldn't feel safe on this roster, man. So you look on here, man, right? There's a good amount of O-line on here. Got a few receivers. I would have liked to see more receivers. There was, I guess, not bad. There was 5 receivers. And they were just really any area that was of question. They brought in people, even like Jay Sternberger. Pretty good. He's more of a blocking tight end, but
bringing in Sternberger. But you got Dalton Kincaid now, so
I was about to say that's a wash.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nah, looking at the Bills and the type of O-line, I think they're going to always bring in big O-line classes when they've got a quarterback like Josh Allen. You got to find O-linemen that can cater and complement his game of play. If he's going to scramble out of the pocket as he normally does, you want someone who's going to be agile and move along with him, not some standalone Great Wall of China.
Yeah, I would argue that they want linemen that are going to be a little bit more statuesque, not necessarily as fluid, because I don't think they want Josh out there running. I think they want to have a running game. They haven't. For whatever reason, they haven't been able to run the football up there in Buffalo, regardless of who's behind in the backfield. But I think this large draft class is more indicative of what everybody in Buffalo knows. And if you're a Buffalo fan, I think you have to understand it as well, is that their window for this current makeup of this team is this is probably the final year for this. Like, if they can't push to the Super Bowl, I'm not saying that they wouldn't be able to get to the Super Bowl next year, but I'm saying with this current roster construction, the way that these contracts are all structured, Josh Allen, this is the last year of his contract where the money is it's that small rookie money. He got the nice bump, but the extension kicks in full next season, and that is going to have a large effect on a lot of these skill positions and stuff like that. And we saw them offloading, making trades today. Like Boogie Basham got traded over to the Giants today.
I saw that.
And that's sure they have depth at the position, right? They have depth at the position, but Boogie is one of these guys that is going to end up getting paid next year. I'm not saying he's going to be at the high end, but Boogie's going to end up getting paid. And so I think they said, we got enough depth to cover it. Let's move him and cover our bases because we know we're about to get slapped with this money. So this big class is them trying to get a couple of good hidden gems, get some value that's going to be very cost controlled to hopefully extend this window a little bit longer.
Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see guys out there fighting too. I know Andy Isabella, actually reading this online, he was a second-round draft pick by UMass Amherst, right? So talk about the potential biggest prospect since, Victor, Spanish dude used to play for the Giants, wide receiver. What's going on in my head?
Cruz?
Victor Cruz. Thank you. Yeah, the potentially the best receiver since Victor Cruz coming out of UMass, right? And Victor Cruz was a UDFA, I believe, right? So, but to see guys out there in 2023, like you've been in the league 4 years, man, it's dope to see people still fighting. Unfortunately, he didn't make the team, but he has something to offer, man. And you never know. Some people need that development, man. So moving on to the Carolina Panthers. Man, this is a lot of cuts. I'm going to go a little slow on this one here, man. But Resjon Wright, if anybody's ever seen Last Chance University, highly recommend it. I think it was the last football season, I believe it was. He played at Oregon State with his brother. And dude's a baller. He's a really, really good player, man. But that's the guy I saw in this team. But you see, like, there's a lot of cornerbacks. It's a lot of good mix of defense and offense, kind of really every position. But Carolina, again, like I like seeing big UDFA classes. I'm a huge believer in it. I don't think anybody should feel safe. Also, Larnell Coleman, thought he would make the team. I'm familiar with Larnell Coleman. He was on the Miami Dolphins briefly. Very solid player.
The name that sticks out to me on this list is Deion Jones at linebacker. That's the name that sticks out to me, and that's the one I'm looking as a Rams fan. I'm like, hey, let's put in a waiver. I know let's get it in. We're number 6 this year. Let's get a waiver claim in on Deion, and let's get a little help. I don't think he's the number 1 option in anybody's rotation anymore, but I think Buddy still has a lot of gas in the tank, and he could be a solid 2. And if nothing else, right, he's going to bring some veteran leadership to any of that team. I think he's still a good player. And he's still got some legs under him, man. Like, he can move side to side, and you don't see a lot of interior linebackers that have that kind of side to side speed. Yeah. So, man, that's the one. When I saw it, I was like, it was him, and then like Eric Rowe. I was like, oh, this might be the place to go shopping to go submit a few waivers. Is whatever Carolina's putting out of here.
Exactly. All right, moving on to Chi-Town, Chicago Bears. Some names here. Coney Dang, very familiar with his work. Very good linebacker. Alex Leatherwood, man, it's just, still not quite panning out, unfortunately. PJ Walker, those who don't know, he came from I believe it was the XFL.
Well, he was in the original iteration of the XFL. He spent last season on the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
Did a heck of a job.
Fantastic job for that.
Yeah, like I'm actually very shocked, and I think his play style is very similar to what Justin Fields is doing up there in Chicago. So I'm very shocked that they would move on from him, because I don't think you would have to change the play calling that much with PJ. Maybe their concern with him is his size. That's always been the knock on him, even coming out of college, was his size. Like Michael Ojemudia was another thing. I was like, y'all need help in the secondary, and I thought Michael Ojemudia he's a good 3 or 4 in the DB room. So I'm curious to see what Chicago's doing. But Doug, you and I and Mike and anybody who's ever been on this podcast, I think for the last few months, as we've been talking about the Chicago organization, their front office continues to remain a mystery. So we're going to see what happens with them, right? Like, I like I like what they did this offseason. It kind of seems like they're getting stuff turning in the right direction, right? But there's a lot of teams that you feel one way at the start of the offseason versus how you feel at the end of the actual season. Hopefully, maybe they see the vision that the rest of us don't. We're going to find out on the next episode of Dragon Ball NFL.
Man. Eric, what are your thoughts on these Chicago Bears, man?
Man, PJ Walker, like he said, I was very surprised by that cut, mainly because, yes, he's undersized, but his arm is much larger than his stature. I think he'll be fine. I think he'll end up on somebody else's roster, even if it's as third on the draft or depth chart. But Joe Reed was a little bit of a surprise for me. He had made a couple of plays during their mini camps this week, so I was a little surprised by that cut. Everyone else, bro, I could see them, ended up on people's practice squad, but there was not really much else after that.
Yeah. I love one thing I want to add to piggyback off what you were saying, man. I love like right here, OL. Like I love this. This is great. Like this is how we develop, like bring in the competition, make people feel uncomfortable, man. Like I love seeing a lot. Again, these are real people, so I don't want to be insensitive and like, oh yeah, man. No, these are real people, man. I hope they all do well and land on their feet. But we also know, again, careers were ended today, right? Serious stuff. Yeah. Also, I want to take a moment here as well, too. If you're tuning in, be sure to smash that subscribe button. Helps the channel to take and grow. Check us out. We usually do, I try to do a few live shows a week, usually 1 to 3 going into the season at least. And then we cover all the NFL. So be sure to hit that subscribe button and comment below. All right, moving on to the next team, the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I'm looking here, and there's.
I tell you who I don't see.
Andre Yosivach.
That's right.
Andre Yosivach.
Our guy Andre, man, he was super cool when he came on the show. I had the pleasure of interviewing him with Doug, man, and Doug knows in our little text thread. I be sending clips every time they put a highlight of Buddy up here. I was like, he came on the show, told us, he's like, there's a lot of people that don't know, but trust me, like you could see the smile in it. He's like, there's a lot of people that don't know, but they're gonna find out. And I think the league, like at least for right now, right? I think he put the league on notice, and if the rest of you guys haven't been paying attention, I think Buddy is going to be a problem for an already loaded wide receiver room. Obviously, he's not. I don't think he's going to crack that starting 3 just because they got some monsters, but he's going to be in that 4th or 5th. He's going to be in that rotational spot, and if he can truly continue on this trajectory that he's on right now, I think Cincinnati gets a lot more confidence going into this offseason when they got to decide on some of these contracts and who they're going to move off. And I think you could see a world where T. Higgins is no longer a part of this team.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because Jamar Chase ain't going nowhere. I'm letting y'all know that right now. He's You might as well bury that brother in the stripes because that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a real brotherhood. Like him and Joe, they won a national championship together. And they trying to win a Super Bowl together, man. So mad respect to those guys for sure. I want to give a special shout out to people on this list that's it breaks my heart, but they're amazing players. And this is a really nice UDFA class. I want to take and shout out Shaka Hayward, friend of the show. He's been on the podcast. Shaka Hayward is a hit stick machine, man. I love seeing him out there, man. He was quick. He was agile. I would not be shocked if he took and made the practice squad either for this team or another team. Shaka is dope. I want to say he was a team captain at Duke, I believe it was. This guy, they're going to get a leader, and he's related to the Hayward brothers over in Pittsburgh Steelers. So he got that dog in him in his DNA. Another person is Shedrick Jackson. Didn't interview him or anything like that, but he came out of Jackson State and he lit it up. He actually got a touchdown the last preseason game of the year, so that was dope to see. And then Jackson Kirkland is a shocker. Jackson Kirkland, I think he gave up like 1, maybe 2 sacks his whole college career. That says something.
Well, maybe we'll get to it later when we get to another team. I'm gonna speak on that particular stat.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I know it varies for sure, but yeah, that's a guy where I was just like, man, that's
not shade to Jackson. I'm not saying that he doesn't have the talent. I honestly think he's going to get picked up somewhere. He's probably going to be in somebody's rotation. I really do. Just not Chicago. And let me tell you, man, Chicago did you a favor with that one, so you're all right.
So, oh yeah. All right, moving on. The Cincinnati Bengals. We got the Cleveland Browns, man. Arrik, man, any of these names stand out to you, bro?
Man, Cleveland Browns, we know they're a team that's trying to put everything together. But Anthony Schwartz was a little bit of a surprise just because he was a wide receiver that was productive for them at a time when Amari Cooper was not. full health. So, looking at him and knowing his familiarity with the offense, I was a little surprised by that cut.
Doesn't he have an injury designation on him as well right now?
Possibly.
I thought I saw something. Maybe I missed it, but that could have been part of the reason why as well. But I agree with you. That was a bit of a shock because he stepped up in some big spots in relief of some other people. I think another one that I thought was a surprise cut, and maybe when they, but Kate York. I thought was a surprise cut, especially right now. You see how many teams are out here scrambling for kickers, and it's almost to the point where if you got a halfway decent one, you better hold on to them because the rest of them, it's either it's decent, automatic, and then there's a large gap between decent and whatever else is left out there. It's
shout out to the ex Cowgirls kicker Maher for being a Denver kicker now.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that was one that missed too many kicks, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I think Kate York could be a steal for a team because I think that's just a guy that he had the yips last season, and that's unfortunate for this position, right? Because the slander on kickers is like you got one job, right? But the problem is typically when they have to do that job, there's so much more on the line where there's a lot of pressure. So it takes a lot of mental fortitude. I think maybe a change of scenery. A change of climate for him, probably have a chance to revive his NFL kicking career. I think he gets another bite at the apple. High key, I think he ends up in LA.
Yeah, absolutely. And then another name that stands out big time is Lonnie Phelps. Lonnie Phelps, man, that dude is an amazing edge rusher. I'm not a gambler, man, but if I did gamble, I would say Lonnie Phelps is that guy. He will make a practice squad specifically for this team, man. That's a great guy who's going to be in rotation. I'm expecting him to get an NFL salary this year. Lonnie Phelps, amazing.
Can we talk about Kellen Mond for half a second and how this is probably the end of his tenure in the NFL?
Yeah.
This is a guy that I want you guys to understand that Jordan Love has somehow survived on a roster for 5 years going into the season. Jordan Love has survived on an NFL roster. But that's behind Aaron Rodgers, right?
Yeah.
Kellen Mond was behind Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Like initially was behind Kirk Cousins, couldn't break through into a starting spot. Like the Vikings actively drafted this kid, opted to go get Kirk Cousins over playing this kid, and he still couldn't even challenge Kirk Cousins for the spot. Mm-hmm. Who they bring? What's my guy from UCLA that they brought in this year at quarterback? I'm losing his name, but obviously he's going to be the number 2. I think he kind of fits a little bit better to the style of Watson, so that's probably another reason why Kellen Mond is not going to be. Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Thank you. Yeah,
he's a dog, bro.
Yeah, he plays very similar to what Deshaun does, so probably more scheme up fit there. But yeah, Kellen Mond, that's another name that he went relatively early when he was drafted, and now it seems like his time is done.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Eric and I live in San Antonio, Texas, man, and Kellen Mond is like a legend around here. He played his high school ball out here and everything. So rooting for him heavy, man. Want him to do well no matter what it's in. You know what I mean? But hopefully he gets a shot, man. Because I thought, Vikings were pretty gung-ho that he was that guy, and then it just never panned out, Then turn to America's most hated team, Dallas Cowboys. Here we go. Oh Lord.
Almost got sick, bro. Sorry.
Hold your lunch, bro.
Will Greer, that was a shocker.
Put on a heck of a performance. But for the record, Greer is only getting released because they were able to get Trey Lance. I think that may end up coming to bite them in the butt sooner rather than later. But that is the only reason why Will Greer is not on this 53-man, because he absolutely played well enough to be on a 53-man, and he will be on somebody's 53-man somewhere.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Absolutely. Another one is Isaiah Land. Went to Florida A&M. Definitely touted touted as the number one linebacker. Coming out of HBCUs, man. He is a really, really good player, man. I want to see him make a roster. I would love for him to get a year 1-2 years of development and have him get a legitimate shot at starter, man, because he is a great talent. He's agile, he's fast, quick, everything that you can want, man. That's a guy I really want to see is Isaiah Land. Huge fan.
Alex Lindstrom. Go ahead, man.
Oh, I was just gonna say I was a little surprised by Malik Davis,
really
running back. Yeah, I thought he's the prototype that you've had with Tony Pollard as your secondary running back. I mean, I know Deuce Vaughn has been making a bunch of oohs and ahs, making people miss, but I thought that would have been a perfect replacement since Tony Pollard has now been promoted into lead back position. But we'll see. He's coming out of Florida, so he's going to be quick with the feet. I think he'll make somebody's roster as well.
I think a change of scenery for Jabril Cox could be good. My question is, one, can he get healthy, stay healthy? Because he had so much talent coming out. This was a guy that was driving me crazy during the draft process a few years ago as a Rams fan, because he just kept falling, and he kept falling like opportunity. We could take him. And we had the need, by the way, still have the need for his skill set, and we just didn't let it go. So I don't know. Is that somebody that we kick the tires on down in LA to see if maybe a change of scenery and a little Aaron Donald boost can help revive a career, establish a career? I'd like to see it, but yeah, I think it was a shock to me just because the way that Dallas plays that defense and the scheme fit, he seems like his skill set would match well in there. For some reason, like I said, they haven't been able to develop, and it's kind of hard to see the field when you're playing behind a talent like Micah Parsons. So
yeah, exactly. Well, there it is. That's Cowboys. Oh, well, we already know about DeMar and Overshawn. I hope he get better. I just want to add that in there, man. I really hope he gets better, man. DeMar and Overshawn, I think, is absolute dog, man. All right, moving on to the Denver Broncos now. The man, the myth, the legend, Michael Williams, our co-host. He's not here today. But here's some roster cuts, man. Ben DiNucci is the baddest man walking on an XFL turf, man. That guy was making all the throws, and I expect him to definitely make the practice squad for sure. We got Tyler Battier.
There needs to be an amendment to this thing because Albert Okuibunam was not cut. He was traded for a 7th round pick to Philadelphia in the 11th hour, and he is going to ball out in Philly. I got so excited when I saw that they were going to release Albert O, and I was like, oh, please, can we put in a waiver claim for him? And then goddamn Howie swooping in at the last second saying, hey, I'll give you this here 7th rounder that we ain't really going to use. And now, bro, their 12 personnel going to be gross with him out there. Like, I don't know if y'all watched the abuse that happened this past Sunday with the Rams and the Broncos preseason game where he went off for like 7 touches, I think a touchdown and 109 yards.
Yep.
I watched it, tried to watch it. It was painful. But yeah, give that guy a competent quarterback and some opportunities. He's a mismatch. He's got 4.49 speed. I think he stands about 6'4", 6'3", something like that.
6'4", 6'5".
Yeah, like he's big bodied and stuff like that. That's not a tight end that you want to see in space, man. I think he's going to work really well out in Philly. They got themselves another steal.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. All right, moving on here, y'all. Going down again. Broncos, man. Hopefully they can get right this year for good old Russ. Good old Russ's sake.
Talking about for Russ's sake. Russ is the problem.
I was about to say.
Not for his sake.
I want him to do well, man.
Yeah, Russ is the problem.
I've been a Russ fanboy for a minute, man. Even though I'm a Fins fan, dude. I love Russell, but last year was
there was a time where I would have given just about anything for him to be the quarterback of the Los Angeles Rams. There was a time I'd be like, pick outside of Aaron Donald, pick whoever you want. I'll give him to you.
We almost did. There was rumor that we were going to get Russ when we were trying to transition away from Carson.
I know, but look at God. Look how he held you and he protected you and covered your team and just let y'all roll with Jalen instead.
Yeah, God is good.
Yeah. All right, Detroit Lions, man. I'm gonna touch this real briefly, man. They're a scrappy team. I mean, if there's a number one scrappy team, that was Detroit last year, man. They beat a lot of good teams. It started off a little slow, but when they got flowing, man, it was a beautiful sight to see. Want to take a shout out here, Mohamed Ibrahim. Mohamed Ibrahim was, he was cut. I wouldn't be shocked if he takes and makes the practice squad. Though for whatever reason, this list does not show him. He was on another list through NFL.com. So that'll be your list. That'll be Nick to watch out for.
What about
I said what this list tells me for the Detroit Lions is kind of something that I think all of us that watch football know. They got one of the best offensive lines in the league, bro. They're like you got people like Jermaine Ifedi that can't even break through to the 53 man as a rotation. And I'm not saying that Jermaine Ifedi is like all that, but like he's serviceable. And the fact that he can't even be a depth player on this team, they are deep at offensive line. I really like what they're doing in Detroit.
Yeah,
bite kneecaps, baby.
Yeah. Biggest what if story that never happened. Denzel Mims. Can this guy get a fair shake at anything?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yo, speak on that, bro. Because like I like Mims in college, man.
I'm just saying, bro. Mims in college was a monster, and even in the combine, like athletic profile is off the charts. But he either can't stay healthy or doesn't have a competent quarterback, to show off those skills. I mean, I think he's someone that will end up on a roster and hopefully in the next year or so have something to prove and prove a lot of people right.
Yeah, we'll have to see, man. I think Mims's problem is, I don't know, is the game too big for him? That's my thing. Is like, I think to go through what he's gone through after having such a decorated college career, right? I think mentally he started to question himself. And then some players, even though they have the makeup, right? Like they're the prototypical, player for that position. I just think sometimes the NFL game is just too big for them, man, and they're not used to it. I also think that two things could be true at the same time. I think his mental confidence can be shaken, and I think these previous landing spots where he's been don't really complement his skill set. I think when we saw him in college, man, he is a big, deep down the field home run wide receiver, and both of the teams that he's been on, they really don't do a lot of deep down the field. It's kind of like chunk plays 10, 15 yards here, over the middle, out to the sideline. It doesn't really complement his game. That's a player that you want him on like a Buffalo Bills or even like a Kansas City, right? Like that's a guy that you want to just send down the seam and just chuck it up and let him go get it. True. And I don't think, for the record, I don't think there's many teams in the NFL that, one, have a quarterback capable of playing that style of offense, or two, even if they do, that's just not the way it is right now. With the way that the league is set up in the offense's favor, the middle of the field is too soft for offenses, and it's too tempting to throw that ball right over the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the Green Bay Packers. Not a whole lot to see here, folks. Obviously,
Jordan Love should have absolutely been on this list, but they didn't have no other option.
I didn't realize they had such a big list here, y'all. Oh, Deuce Watts. I thought he would have made the team. Okay, I knew about Deuce Watts. Ooh.
Eric Stokes is not on this list if he's not on the PUP list. If Eric Stokes is healthy, he's not on this list.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and I just read an article while we were talking. Mohamed Ibrahim is technically back on the Lions, but he's on IR. So.
Oh well, if he's on, he has to make the 53 if they're claiming him to claim him on IR. So that's good for him. That means he's done enough.
I love it. I'm happy because Eric, today you and I worked, man. We was watching tape, and that was a nice tape, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Or I think it was yesterday.
Yeah, it was today. Man, it was flashy.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Eric Stokes, we could use your help in LA. Rest up, brother.
Yeah. Houston Texans. There's only 3.
Well, they didn't have much to cut in the first place. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they took the whole team. Well, yo, I want to take and shout out Darius Joyner because he was cut back in March, and I'm on Instagram, right? Darius Joyner. Those who don't know, he was considered a top 10 safety in this past year's 2023 NFL draft, and looks like they brought him back, and he had a fumble recovery and damn near took it back for a touchdown. So he's back on the team to cut him. So we see this time and time again. I love these stories. It makes you so happy. I wrote Darius, and he told me thank you. I wrote him, I think it was like a night or two ago. So super dope, man. I love seeing dreams come true. Congratulations, Darius, on making that final roster, man. Indianapolis Colts. Indianapolis Colts. Kenyon Drake, I thought he was going to take and make this team.
Well,
he's older.
They need to reevaluate it now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Exactly. And look, unless you live underneath a rock, JT, Jonathan Thomas,
Jonathan Taylor.
Sorry, Jonathan Taylor. Excuse me. Mm-hmm. Thank you, brother. Jonathan Taylor, dude, it's looking like he may stay on the Colts because Dolphins were like in the lead to get him. It was looking like, and it just didn't happen. So everything happens for a reason, and the owner of the Colts is a bonehead.
Yeah. So we were talking about this before we went live, but I think it's a good place to discuss this. Like, I think you think about the start of the offseason when we started this whole NFL against running backs campaign, right?
Right.
And you had some prominent names in this list. There's Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook. And Jonathan Taylor's name was kind of added onto this list, not as somebody who had become disgruntled or maybe somebody that was looking for another contract, but just somebody whose contract was impending they were going to have to address sooner rather than later, right?
Right.
And so then the players started kicking up noise about running backs being undervalued in the league, and they were getting, support or getting bashed from whoever, right? And then Jim Irsay has to climb online and insert his whole ass into this conversation. Yeah. And I think he really just messed up what was a pretty tame situation. We had seen coverage and seen footage of Taylor. He was at camp. He's at the mini camps. He's been in the communities volunteering with all sorts of youth programs and stuff like that. It's very clear that like he's entrenched in the community in Indy and that he wants to be there. He said multiple times that he wants to be a Colt, that he wants to retire a Colt. I don't think, maybe I missed it. So like what I'm saying is not gospel, but I don't recall ever seeing a request come from him or his agent saying, hey, we need to address my contract this year. I thought I saw discourse around that. Yes, he was coming up on the end of his contract and the Colts would have to address it. So I really think if Jim Irsay had just hushed his, just kept his mouth shut and stayed off Twitter for 2 seconds, this would be a non-issue. Jonathan Taylor would be suiting up for week 1 here in the next 2 weeks, but instead he's starting on the PUP list. So that means at minimum he has to miss 4 games at minimum. And that's assuming that he's going to sign his franchise tender, which at this point, I think that relationship between him, ownership, the rest of that front office, I think it's so strained. I don't think he wants to put that uniform back on. Regardless of what amends are being made. And I also think that if you're first-time head coach for the Indianapolis Colts, I think you're pissed at your owner right now because it's like, dog, you are messing up the rotation. 2, if I'm a young face of the franchise quarterback named Anthony Richardson, I'm counting on having a young, dynamic, possibly, you can argue, I think, top 2, top 3 running backs in the league to really help my transition from college into the league. We all know that a good offensive line mixed with a good running back is like the best combination for a young quarterback. So I think he was really looking forward to having all of that stuff. That being said, where is the bulk of your ground production going to come from? I think the scary answer is it's now going to be Anthony Richardson, which is the last thing that you want.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be interesting, man. A lot of drama, man. And then on top of that, like, let's look at some of these receivers that they cut because they need receiver help, and I'm seeing it already. Perhaps I need to do a little more homework, but it's Tyler Adams, Cody Chase, okay, DJ Montgomery. I'm familiar with that name. And here are 2. Well, obviously, we know Amari Rodgers, right?
Rashard Perriman, young man, hairline of a 40-year-old. Yeah.
Always wear the cap. Michael Strackton was the one that surprised me. 6'5", 225 with a 10-inch hand span. Like, come on, man.
Well, somebody outside of Michael Pittman Jr., what are we looking at receiver for Indy? Is Hilton back? Is he back with them? He's gone, right? Like he went to Dallas. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not a Colts fan, so I could just be uninformed, right? I'm not saying that they don't have wide receivers. I genuinely don't know. But when I think about the Colts,
Alec Pierce.
Alec Pierce is a promising.
He's promising, but like
Josh Downs. Now Josh Downs is a cat too. Like he lit it up at USC. excuse me.
You think Josh Downs is going to do that in the league, though?
I just want to know who's the household name. Who's the household name in that receiver room?
No one.
Okay, thank you. That's my point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Josh Downs is a rookie, so we got to see. You know what I mean? But it's exciting. You know what I mean? But we'll see what happens. You know, preseason he had 4 receptions for 49 yards. That's where he's at statistically right now. Josh Downs.
I think if you're a Colts fan right now, you're living in your own personal hell because you had your face of the franchise quarterback just retire after a preseason game, just unexpectedly, like, hey, I'm done. I'm hanging it up. I can't do this no more. And now then you walk through Phillip Rivers, mistake. Matt Ryan, mistake. Now you got your young bull. I like Anthony Richardson, but arguably the best player on your team now he's like, bump this. I don't want to be here no more.
Oh, don't forget, Carson Wentz was also a part of that mistake line.
Oh yes, thank you for mentioning that. He 100% was part of this quarterback carousel. So yeah, man, I like if I'm a Colts fan right now, I'm kind of living in my own personal hell.
Mm-hmm. Do you think Irsay is trying to like predict the future and cause a little bit of trouble right now, so that way he can get rid of Jonathan Taylor, maybe draft someone and buy a couple of years before he has to pay him?
I think if he keeps inserting himself in situations doing a foot and mouth, either that organization is going to go the way of the Cleveland Browns or he's going to go the way of Mr. Snyder over in Washington. One of the two.
I can see that. I can see some ratchetness happen. Cool, man. Moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Man, they looked fantastic in the preseason. It was nice to see names we're familiar with, and this is a big list.
There's 2
Ventrell Miller. Ventrell Miller out of U of F. That guy was a baller, field general. He got cut. He'll probably be on the practice squad though, which is cool. I'm hoping.
Yeah. There's 2 names on here that I recognize because they were former Rams that never panned out for us, which is Jacob Harris, which he was out of UCF, 6'5", big bodied. Was a tight end turned receiver. Like he could be a weapon if they could ever put it together, but he had too many soft tissue injuries for us. And then Bobby Evans, here in LA, we like to call him the human turnstile because like you didn't even need to buy a ticket for that, bro. You could just go on through. So,
okay. He must have had a good college tape, man. Damn.
I don't know what he had, but God bless his brother. I'm not hating on him because Lord knows he made it further than I would have made it in the NFL. Get your money. I'm not mad at you.
Yeah.
I was mad at you when you was on my team, but I wish you well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Here's a name that I'm just now seeing on here. The Kansas City Chiefs. Kansas City Chiefs. Okay. Shout out to Nick Jones, 7th round draft pick. He made the final squad. So we all know if you could be 6th, 7th round and still get cut. It still happens. Mm-hmm. This is a daggone near complete team. So shout out to everybody out there competing and doing what they're supposed to do.
Kendall Blanton, the K Special Super Bowl champion. Kendall Blanton.
Oh yeah. Jerome Carvin, friend of the show, man. I've stayed in touch with him, man. He is amazing. Hendon Hooker, that was his starting O lineman. You know what I mean? He was there in the trenches, a big part of making sure he kept Hendon Hooker's jersey clean. That O line, can you just imagine being on the Kansas City Chiefs, right? And how competitive that is. To be on the Chiefs, it's specifically the O line, one of the best O lines in the league.
You better know how to do the ring.
I'm expecting Jerome
100%.
If you can't ring around the rosy or hokey pokey, you can't be an offensive lineman for the Kansas City Chiefs.
I heard they're going to enter the Red Rover, bring so-and-so over this year.
I'm ready for it.
Man, with guys like Jerome, this won't be the last that you hear about him. He's an amazing player, and I'm excited to see what the next step is for him for sure. Moving on, Sebastian Gutierrez, again, another OL casualty. Anderson Hardy, though the O-line guy didn't make it, but again, they have solid O-line already. Truman Jones, solid edge rusher. Chris Oladokin, if those don't remember, he went to USF 2 seasons ago, and then he also went over to, I think it was University of South Dakota, I believe it was. Found himself from Pittsburgh and somehow landed on the Kansas City Chiefs and got him a ring. He looks good. He's a tall quarterback. I want to say somewhere around 6'7", 6'6", very talented quarterback, man. So it just goes to show you, even for the backup and third string quarterback positions, how competitive it is.
Look here,
Very,
you're not getting in the game if you for Kansas City as long
I
as
was about to say, do you even try out as QB?
No, just don't change your position. Change your position now. We all saw what Pat did. If y'all ain't watched the quarterback on Netflix, I don't want to do no plug for him, but Buddy was not having it. They told him to sit down. He's like, nah, put me in. I'm playing.
Yeah.
Danny Shelton getting cut, man. It's only interesting to me because they haven't signed Chris Jones. Because they haven't signed Chris Jones now. If I'm not mistaken, I think they went and got some help at defensive tackle. I don't remember what transaction that was. I'll have to look it up, but I think they traded for somebody they went and brought in. But Chris Jones is slated to miss the first 4 games of the season. If you follow Chris Jones on Twitter, he stated that he's prepared to sit out to the trade deadline till week 8 before he signs his stuff. He's already going to be missing out on $1.8 million in fines for not reporting, and because he's no longer on a rookie contract, the team cannot forgive those fines. Don't get me wrong, $1.8 million is a lot of money for me. That's a life-changing amount of money. For Chris Jones, that's pocket change. And once he signs a new contract, whether it be with the Chiefs or something, it'll be very easy for him to make that back. By
his words, he can afford it.
Yes, he can 100% afford it. I think the problem with what Chris Jones is doing, and this is not I don't want to talk about Chris Jones' talent because I think it's been on display for the world to see, right? He's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. He's a very good disruptor on the interior. I would say that he's the second best defensive tackle in the league, second only to Aaron Donald. And I think we saw what's the guy from the Jets, Quinnen Williams. We saw him get paid. We saw Ed Oliver get paid. I think the Chiefs are wanting to give him a contract that is in line with those, where Chris Jones has publicly came out and said that, hey, no, don't look at those guys' contracts. Y'all need to go look at Aaron Donald because that's where my stuff needs. He said, I'm willing to take the back seat to Aaron, but we need to be more in that stratosphere. So going to be interested to see if that's what Kansas City does and what is the value that they place on him. I guess we'll find out through the first 4 weeks, right, where he can't play, if the defense is really that different with him not being there. And I think it will be. I think they're going to have to change their tone if they still have Super Bowl aspirations. That's if the offense isn't firing on a billion. But, man, you just know Chris is going to get paid. He's going to get paid regardless, right? He's going to get paid somewhere. So we'll see if they change their tone if they start losing a couple games because they don't have that presence on the inside.
Love it. Las Vegas Raiders, ain't a whole lot to see here, folks. So moving on to the Los Angeles.
You just gonna do Damian Williams like that?
Man, he an old head.
No. But look, this is another team that they don't. There's really nothing to cut. There's really nothing to cut here.
True.
Yeah.
They need everybody, the people that they brought in, and this is a team that, I mean, preseason doesn't mean anything. I just want to remind everybody, you could be the king of the preseason. It does not matter. I think the last 3 or 4 Super Bowl champions went 0-3 in the preseason. So preseason doesn't mean a lick of anything. But if you do want to take anything away from it, it looks like Josh McDaniels, for the time being, has gotten that team on the same page. And it looks like that defense is going to be much improved. So I think this, like I said, this round of cuts for them is indicative of how thin they already were. So even if they don't have the best talent, you are going to end up making that team because they need it for depth.
Is it Josh Daniels or Tom Terrific's impact of being around those fellas?
Well, you absolutely know, because I'm going to drive Raiders fans crazy. If they start going off, I'm giving all the credit to Brady. I'm giving every single bit of credit to Brady because things didn't start turning around until he arrived.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Moving on to the Chargers, man. They got a very sizable, and there's a good bit of stuff to take and talk about here. Real quick,
you mentioned it at the top, Doug.
What was that?
I said you mentioned it at the top of the show. The big story here is Max Duggan. Yeah, not making the roster, man.
Right here, Max Duggan.
He
lit it up, bro. I loved watching him, man. It was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obviously, we know Justin Herbert is the big dog in town, right? But in the beginning, it was just weird. Obvio maybe this is a blessing in disguise, man, for Max. I mean, Max, he could potentially, I don't know if say he's gonna start somewhere else, but man, if he's in a place like, let's say he goes to the Raiders, right? And Jimmy G goes down and gets injured again. That's a cat I could see getting.
I'm sorry, Aiden O'Connell got that thing on lock. If Aiden O'Connell played like he did in the preseason, Aiden O'Connell got that thing on lock. That boy looked like Farva from Super Troopers. He got it on lock, bro. They even gave him.
I'm gonna have to peep him. I'm gonna have to peep him.
They even gave him Derek Carr's number. I thought that joint was so disrespectful. How quick they put him in the number 4. Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. And if you listen to the story, he said they gave him that.
Oh yeah, no, he wasn't even trying to have it. No, they put him and they say, guess what? You're the face of the franchise now.
That's why the NFL needs to be treated like a businessman. Like, because even Tom Brady got divorced from his team, right? So
yeah, but I feel much better with divorcing my team after we done won 6 championships than. Yeah, that's a very easy thing for me to do. And then you roll into another situation with your new boo and you go right back to it. Yeah,
exactly. And I want to take a quick moment here, just take a quick break. Everyone, if you're tuning in, you got a little bit of crowd here. Hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel to grow. We cover all 32 NFL teams in January through April. It's also one of the best places on the internet to get pre-draft content. We also do live shows, usually 1 to 3 live shows a week. So be sure to hit that subscribe button. Drop a comment. Let me know which was the biggest shocker that you guys take and seen, because for me, it's Max Duggan all day right here. I also want to take and shout out Tyler Husman. He took time out of his busy schedule getting ready for the NFL draft to come on the podcast. Unfortunately, it was literally up until this afternoon that he was released. Obviously, he didn't make the final roster. I would absolutely love if they brought him back, man, as a practice squad, man, because with the history that they have with injuries, I think Tyler, man, that is a guy, 4th and 1, 3rd and 3. He will get the first down for you, man. He's athletic, wiry. Could work on his breakout speed a little bit. He's a great player, though. He's very, very good, man, and he has hands as well too. So, hopefully this won't be the last time we hear Tyler, man. Great guy. Let me see. Anybody else here stand out to you guys?
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Shout out to Isaac Weaver. He came from Old Dominion last year as a UDFA. So hopefully they bring him back again. He's a big guy. I mean, Isaac Weaver, I want to say he's about 6'7", 6'6" as a center, and he clogs holes. He's a really good player. So it just goes to show how competitive and how ruthless the NFL really is. And Soup, your favorite team, the Los Angeles Rams, man. What are your thoughts, man, on these cuts right here, man?
I'm glad that we're finally here. I have so much anxiety going into this season, but we knew it was going to be a lot of cuts because we pretty much signed every undrafted free agent there was. We had a massive class. I think we had 14 draft picks, and then on top of that, we signed 26 undrafted free agents. So we already knew that there was going to be a lot of cuts. Here is something that I really found interesting. The 3 most interesting cuts on this list. Number 1, Tanner Brown. There is no kicker on the Rams roster as we stand right now. We trotted out an all rookie special teams unit. He was the 3rd piece of that. We currently don't have a kicker. The second thing that I thought was also interesting is that Marquise Copeland was released, and a few months ago we just offered him a contract. It was albeit it was like a small 1-year contract, but we paid him, and here we are today cutting him. And I think another big thing that is, I don't know if it's a surprise for anybody that's paid attention so much as it is. It's a shock just because of how quickly it seems that the team has given up on this kid. Is Logan Bruss. He was cut. We drafted him with our 3rd round pick. He was our first pick of the draft a year ago. Suffered a season-ending ACL injury in his first 2 snaps of NFL action in the preseason last year. This year was his first year back, coming back from the injury, and he has not looked great. He has looked completely out of position. Now, granted, the Rams drafted him, I think, at pick 104 with the intent to put him at right guard, which is out of position for him. He's a right tackle, but even when they put him in at tackle this year, during the preseason, he hasn't looked good. He's been getting thrown around. So based off of his performance, I'm not surprised that he's getting cut, but I am like, this is a kid that is, like I said, he's a third round offensive lineman with a decorated college career. This is the one that I wanted to talk to you about because he only allowed a single sack in his entire college career at Wisconsin, who I think we all can agree, like all Wisconsin does is build offensive linemen. If you got a Wisconsin lineman, there's a good chance that that's going to be a starter for you one day. So I'm just really shocked that they would pivot so quickly off of him. Like I said, it's only his second year in the league, and he's coming off of a season-ending injury. The guy literally has no NFL snaps during the regular season. So I think they're hoping that, his play was terrible enough that nobody will claim him and that we can get him back to the practice squad, hopefully continue to develop him like that. But this round of cuts, whatever the Rams are doing right now, it has me nervous as a fan. And it's very hard for me to trust this front office because if we're being completely honest, they haven't really hit on their draft picks the last couple of years. Where their success has come from is evaluating, and not even evaluating, right? Acquiring the proven talent around the league and getting that to blend seamlessly into their roster construction. Now they find themselves in a place where they're going to have to draft most of their talent. And I don't think you can point to a bunch of players and say, outside of you being a Rams fan, could you name the players that they've drafted that have worked their way into starting roles that are making meaningful contributions? I don't think you can.
So what are your thoughts on Xavier Smith, man? He sat down with Stephen Smith Sr. and touted to be like, man, he had an amazing 40 time, amazing pro day coming out of Florida A&M. What are your thoughts on him?
I think one, Steve Smith. I like his takes on receivers because he knows some stuff. He was calling Cooper Kupp before Cooper Kupp had his season. I think the Rams already have too small receivers on our roster. And I think that's what it is we need Tutu Atwell to work out. I don't think he will. I hope he does. I'm not ever rooting. If you're wearing a Rams uniform, I'm never rooting against you. I hope you succeed. I hope you're the best player at your position in the league. I really do. But if I'm just being realistic as a football fan, I don't see that situation working out. I think it was just merely he didn't get time to shine, and I don't think he was really given a fair shake. Stetson Bennett looked awful in the preseason. And he played the overwhelming majority of these snaps. So I think if you were a linebacker that was trying to make, not a linebacker, a wide receiver that was trying to make this team, and that is the guy that was throwing you the ball, like, I don't know how, but you would have had to catch literally everything thrown in your vicinity. 5 yards around you, you would have had to catch it to land on this team. So I don't think that they were really put in a position where they could succeed. I also think that this front office kind of went into this with their mind made up for who was going to stay in there. So I don't think it's a knock on Xavier Smith. I think he's going to end up somewhere else. It's probably going to piss me off, and he's going to light it up for them. And I'm going to think about what we could have had because we can't evaluate shit. So yeah, I'm pretty pissed.
I got you, man. Now, thank you for that breakdown, man. And then moving on, and I'm going to switch my hat up for this one, man. Hold on. Arrik, man, remember we went to Lids at the Galleria Mall?
Yeah.
Hey, man. I came prepared, man. Check it out, bro. My Dolphins hat.
He was walking around in Houston like he was a celebrity. He had Dolphins fans high-fiving you and everything.
Yeah. Dog, when we were deep in the H-Town, for those who don't know, man, me and my brother Arrik ran, man, we was out. We went to the Texans versus Dolphins game 2 Saturdays ago, right? So, man, we had a good time, man. It was a lovely time day. Never forget, man. But moving to Miami Dolphins, man. Wow, man, we got a lot to talk about here, man. So the Miami Dolphins, look, man, this is scrappy, right? And you got to bring in a big class of UDFA dogs, and there is some heartbreak. I would even argue this would be top 3 as far as heartbreaks of people who didn't make the team. But again, a lot to take and talk about here. Let's go ahead. Let's kick off Tanner Connor. He did not make the team. That's a guy who was supposed to be like a really athletic tight end. Don't be surprised if he's, he should be on our practice squad. Also, as well, another guy, Dawood Davis, who was starting to kind of ball out in preseason, right? Did I think he was going to make the roster? No, but I could see him as the potential for making the practice squad, gets a violent potential career-ending injury. So prayers still go out to him, man. Myles Gaskin, man, came in as a 7th round draft pick into this league.
Mm-hmm.
Myles Gaskin, who improved every year, and he's gone, right? He will find a home. I could see him, Arrik, you and I were talking earlier. I could see him on a Buffalo Bills. I could see him on a New England Patriots, like a system type running back. But man, he could block for you. He can catch the ball. Not a 4-down back, but a great gadget back and a great contributor to any team and a positive guy. I think he'll do great things, right? Cameron Good, who we just drafted, gone. Deshaun Hand, gone.
That's a shocker. I like Deshaun Hand a lot. I like the work that he had done up in Detroit.
He's dope, man. I like Deshaun Hand too. Actually, shout out to Anthony Montalvo, man. He's the one who took his spot, right? So that was crazy. Elijah Higgins. Now, I'll be real with y'all. This pick did not make sense in the draft. And he really was a receiver. And he was just a big receiver, and they were gonna move him to tight end as like a receiving tight end, just for him not to make the final roster. Crazy, right? But I could almost 9 times out of 10, he's probably going to take and be on our practice squad where we could develop him a little bit, right? Tyler Kroft, that was the guy we picked up in the spring, cut, right? I was like, ooh, that was a shocker, right? He was a pretty good receiving tight end. And then this cat right here, Aubrey Miller. If anybody watch the Coach Prime, I think it's called Prime on Amazon Prime, right? About Coach Deion Sanders, Coach Deion Primetime Sanders. Aubrey Miller stole the spotlight from the show. Outside of his sons who were doing a thing, Aubrey Miller, amazing, absolutely amazing. I pray to God they bring this guy on the practice squad. Aubrey Miller is going to be such a joy to watch on the field. I feel like he has to feel out the game, but once he gets a flow going, he's going to cause mayhem, man. He's a big ass dude too, man. If you see him,
Malik Reed, we have need of your services in LA.
Come on down.
You took the name right out of my mouth. I was like,
we have need of your services, please.
Malik Reed is a tackle machine. I was really surprised by that cut.
Please, we need him. Doug, for the record, man, I'm disappointed in you that you didn't start your little segment here with the fact that Chosen Anderson was in fact not chosen.
Oh, hold on. Did I go too fast? Oh, snap, son. I went too quick.
Yeah. So he changed his name from Robbie Anderson to Robbie Chosen. Then he recently changed it to Chosen Anderson.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what you should have started off. Chosen Anderson was in fact not chosen.
Yeah. Again. Yeah. Look, I respect to him for owning up to some of the shenanigans that happened in Carolina. Respect him. I see him growth as a person, but we all know that you don't make these rosters for being a good person. You for being a great football player, and it was just awkward, man. It was awkward. It looks so good.
It's never too late to grow into a better person, but there is a time in your NFL career where it's too little, too late, and you should have grown into that person years ago, and you wouldn't be in this position.
Yeah,
because he has talent. The boy can ball. It's just nobody wants to deal with all the extra.
Yeah, and it was awkward. There was drop passes towards the end. There started to be more of a connection from what I've seen, but yeah, it just wasn't.
Also, once you start getting into changing your name to weird stuff, I don't want nothing to do with you neither.
Agreed.
I don't know why, but like that's a turn off for me. Like that's a huge red flag. I'm like, no, foul on the play. He's doing what? No.
Yeah. Now two cuts here I want to take and talk about real quickly here.
True.
And what will come true in one sec? Alame Uluval, if I said his name correct. That guy, wow, put Connor Williams on notice. Put him on notice. My goodness, we better bring him back. I know we only have so many spots that we got like all these dang running backs, and it's just all these receivers. I'm like, look, can we sacrifice somebody for a lot? I hope out of everybody on this list, hear me out, out of everybody on this list, him and Trill Williams, that's the next one I'm going to talk about next. But more so what we need is Alame Ulave, okay? That guy was a mauler. O-line was blocking great. Connor Williams is a mid-range guy who makes stupid mistakes, and I'm really getting pissed off and tired. You can't win a championship with this clown, okay? Again, I'm talking about his on-field play, not him as a person. But Alame Ulave, that's a guy I want to pound the table, man. He did great. He should have been drafted in like the 3rd or 4th round based off of how he played in the preseason. He balled out. Then we got Trill Williams coming off of AC. Like anybody watched that Eagles game versus Dolphins preseason last year, he was slamming folks. He was everywhere. It was basically our version of Jalen Ramsey before he came on the team. And then he gets injured, like rolls an ankle or something. They bring him back in the game, which was crazy to me. And then he takes in I think he tore his ACL, I believe it was. Yeah. ACL or Achilles.
Trill is just he's a casualty of y'all roster being too deep at the corner position. Like you guys have talent. That's all that is. It's not a something that's on him. I think if you could scroll back up just a little bit, Doug.
Yeah. That's
right. Jalen Tymon. This is a kid that coming out, I think a year or two ago. He is a cautionary tale. Unfortunate set of circumstances for this kid. I think he got drafted by Minnesota super late, like I think in like the 6th round, ended up getting shot up before training camp started. So he couldn't even it was a whole thing. But this is a cautionary tale when looking at these defensive tackles. Stop looking at these kids coming out of college and putting this Aaron Donald crap. They're the next Aaron Donald on these boys, especially these boys coming out of Pittsburgh. You guys did it with Jalen Tymon because he had all the measurables, all this stuff, and he was tearing it up, and he just happened to be coming out of Pitt, right? Just happened to be coming out of Pitt. You guys started that madness again with Kalijah Cansey as well. And I'm not saying that these guys can't be great talents, right? I'm not putting the nail in the coffin, but it's not fair to these young men that you guys are putting all of this stuff on them, and then when they come out and they're not that guy, subconsciously, you can't convince me that subconsciously these pre-projections and these comparisons are not affecting the evaluation of some of these guys. Because I thought Jalen Tymon, I thought he came in and balled out for you guys during the preseason. I thought for sure he'd earn an opportunity to play a little bit more, at least in rotation. But like I said, this is a cautionary tale. Stop comparing these kids to the great. There's not going to be another Patrick Mahomes. There's not going to be another Aaron Donald. There's not going to be another Jalen Ramsey, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, let these guys be themselves and let them earn their own, create their own legacy. Stop putting these unnecessary expectations so maybe they get a chance to play for real.
Yeah, absolutely. And folks, in just a second, shout out to Bo with the Bowick.
Bowick the third. Bowick.
Yo, what's happening? Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to talk about Claudine because I got a lot to say. I haven't checked yet, so y'all are getting real life reactions. Like Trill Williams, I know Trill Williams personally, right? You saw him in person last summer in Miami. So yeah, matter of fact, here we're gonna come back to Minnesota. Let's jump right to the Jets.
Go right to the Jets. So I don't know who. Somebody in trouble in the background. I don't know what y'all doing.
One sec here.
They found me.
They found you.
Computer's going a little slow, y'all. Hold on, bear with me. One sec.
They going. It's a live show. This is what happens. Here we go.
There it is. Whoop. There it is. Okay. Jets. Okay, New York Jets. Here we go. Hold on. I'm looking for Claudine Chairless. Please don't be there. Hold on. Oh, shit. Hold on. Damn, no, he is there. Shit. I was happy because I thought he wasn't there. All right, Claudine Chairless, man. I want to tackle this here real quick. Now, y'all know me. Look, I'm rocking the Fins hat, right? I should be hating the Jets. Look, these are real people that we know on this show. Claudine, like, let me tell y'all something about him. This guy lit it up. There is no way in hell that he does not make it on the practice squad. Special teams was crushing it. Being an edge rusher linebacker, he was crushing it. I was watched every single Jets game this year in the preseason, and I love the energy that Claudine brings. He brings that South Florida swag, man. He went, and for those who don't know, he took and went to UMass Amherst and then transfers, takes transfer to Alcorn State, HBCU, and lit it up there. Matter of fact, he had an offer to go play CFL and he turned it down. That's the type of energy that he's bringing. You know what I mean? So, I'm gonna go ahead and take this comment down here for a sec. Very, very, very frustrated, man. Very, very frustrated. But again, that's a guy. Continue to develop him. He could be an NFL elite. I would even go as far as say Pro Bowler in this league, man. He is such an amazing amazing player, man. So look out for Claudine Cherylus. He is an absolute dog.
Well, the Jets got a pretty nasty defense. This is another one that I think possibly a casualty of just too much depth already on that team. For that, the Jets are. I'm always cautious to speak good things about the Jets. Because they always find a way to disappoint.
Claudine should have been on that squad. It just don't make it make sense. Like I want someone to put in the comments and make it make sense. Other than their boneheads for not signing him on the final. Again, I feel I'm not a gambler, man. But if I had to put some money down, I would say Claudine is probably going to make that practice squad, man. He's such a dope human being, but also an amazing football player as well too. And any team that gets him, man, this guy lives, eats, and breathes football. And I remember following him on Instagram. He was one of the last people that's as far as my circle to take and get that call from a team. And when he did, bro, it was glorious, bro. The pictures he was sharing with his loved ones. So Claudine Cherylus fan for life. Just want to throw that out there, man.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go
Who else on that list? Since we're there, we might as well finish him.
Nick Vigil, he didn't make it either. He's a 8-year vet.
Zonovan Knight, bro.
Yeah.
Zonovan got cut because they signed Cook. That's what it is. You can't convince me.
Yeah.
You can't convince me otherwise. Like,
yeah,
I like Zonovan Knight. He'll find a home on somebody else's roster, really quick.
Wait, what? They cut Zach?
Yeah.
Didn't they draft him? What was it? Second, third round?
I think so.
Let me look it up because now I'm curious. Hold on. Let me see. Last name's a cuss word. Let me not say it. Here it is. Okay. Yeah, he went. Pretty sure. Dang. Okay, hold on.
He went in the
seventh round.
Yeah, he's 7th round. Uh-huh.
That does happen. But he's 6'8". Oh my gosh, bro.
That's what I'm saying.
He's gonna be nasty, man. Once he gets built into the game.
Well, but here's the thing, right? There's not a whole lot of just straight pass catching tight ends in the league, and you got to be an elite pass catching tight end in the league if you're going to do this, because we've seen the fall of the NFL fullback, right? Like most of the time, it's the tight ends that are subbing in for that position when they're running those 12 sets and stuff like that. So maybe that's a thing, right? Maybe where he's a good possession tight end, but he's not helping out enough in the run game and being that extra blocker. You're going to see a lot of tight ends that are not going to be able to get away with that. Like I said, if you cannot block in the league right now as a tight end, you're probably not going to find too much of a home. Either that, or you better be a dynamic, and I mean like dynamic pass catcher. And so
that's real.
And when I say dynamic, I mean Kyle Pitts.
Yeah,
when healthy, Kyle Pitts when healthy. If you're not that level of talent as a tight end, you better learn how to block, buddy.
Yeah, big time. Now the Jets, man, look, I put on my Dolphins fandom aside, man. They have a squad and a half. But what I would have liked to see is probably a few more O linemen in here in the mix for sure, right?
I would have loved to see, like we said at the top of the show.
Trey Dean's another one. Goodness gracious.
I would have liked to see what's the guy I was just talking about, right tackle? Mekhi Becton. I would have liked to see him on this list. Not because I think he deserves to be there, but I need help. My team needs help. I'm selfish. I need help.
Sec, y'all. What's up, Blake Dupree? That's my dog from the old town, from the 407 where it goes down. What's up, man? I'm about to spit some bars over here. Blake, my dog, man. What's happening, man? We got a little crowd here, about 7 people in the audience. I just want to take a moment and say thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're probably about 75% through the show. But there's a team or player that you would like us to talk about. Let us know. We're going to kind of, other than the Eagles, which we're going to cover in just a sec, outside of that, we're going to kind of breeze through the rest of the teams. But be sure to smash that subscribe button. We cover the whole NFL. We interact with y'all. Hopefully, even in the near future, we got some raffles coming up. A lot of great stuff. Also, as well, fellas, plug your stuff. You can follow Soup at AC the GDB at Twitter, and Arrik Rand, let the folks know where they can find you too, man.
Well, y'all can find me on Instagram at AMTBH24. I also have Facebook, but you'll just find me under ARRIK, the one and only Arrik Rand.
Yeah, and he has cool spells like Arrow, but Arrik, then Ren, like MC Ren. It's dope. All right, man. Moving on here. We were at the
Minnesota. I gotta see because
Okay.
Me and my dad be talking about it because my dad is a Vikings fan. So
feel sorry for him.
Yeah,
I feel sorry for him too.
Jordan Tayamu. Wow,
he's had to witness all his kids get Super Bowls.
N'Keal Harry, bro.
That's cold. That's cold.
Bro, N'Keal Harry. Yeah, scroll up real quick.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
N'Keal Harry.
I thought I saw him get cut. Maybe he just got cut ahead of time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know he's on the cut list.
Yeah, he's.
It's like they brought him on that plane and it was like, psych.
Kalen Barnes, bro. Mm-hmm. Kalen Barnes that was one that kind of shocked me because they need some help.
Yep.
They need some help at that corner position. And I know Kalen he's undersized, but I thought they might be able to slide him inside and, play some slot, some dime and nickel for them, man. Like I thought for sure they was going to be able to do that.
Yeah. Dwayne McBride. I thought they needed some help in that running back room. I mean, he came from UAB.
They do need help in the running back room.
Had great breakout speed. He's only 22 years old. I mean, young cat. So he'll probably end up on the practice squad. They'll probably bring him back.
Yeah. We should also state that obviously I would hope that if you're watching the show that you guys watch football regularly and have been watching football regularly, but in the event that you happen to be a football newbie, like these are the initial 53-man rosters. Initial being the key word. These rosters are going to change several times between now and week 1. So this stuff is not final. The people that are not on the team is not necessarily guaranteed that they ain't going to be called up to the team by week 1. There's a lot that can happen between now and the start of week 1.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Moving on to the New England Patriots. And, man, Malik Cunningham, that's the guy. We all know that Coach Belichick has been raving to get Lamar Jackson. Well, it did not happen. Thank God. But Malik Cunningham, he's really good, man, and he balled out, man. So don't be shocked. Don't be shocked if he makes the practice squad, and don't be shocked if he sees the field this year, because I have a feeling Mac Jones is going to stink it up to the point that Malik Cunningham could see some time on the field around week 8.
Bro, do you understand that there are 3 quarterbacks on this list? It's Malik Cunningham, Trace McSorley, and Bailey Zappi. There's one quarterback on the roster for the New England Patriots.
Bailey's going to get picked up within 24 hours by another team.
Oh, he's not making it through waivers. Yeah.
No way.
No way in HE double hockey sticks.
I don't think Bailey Zappi's making it through waivers, and I don't think Malik Cunningham is going to make it through waivers.
I saw Bailey Zappi play in person with Western Kentucky, and he sliced up UTSA.
Yeah.
Dude is a true dog.
What was that like, Eric? Break that down for us. What was it like seeing him play in person?
First of all, you can hear the ball leave his hand. The man's got an arm, huge arm. As soon as I saw him, I was like, dude, this guy is going to be playing on Sundays. And I was right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't
see that.
Yeah. I don't know what's happening in New England. And in the post-Tom Brady era, I don't know if we can just keep giving Belichick his flowers and just being like, because he's there, it's going to be okay.
Are they a high enough pick that they could tank for Caleb as well?
No, they won't be.
Okay.
They won't be. Even if the team is that bad, I do have enough faith in Belichick's defensive prowess that they won't fall to a place where they could be within range. Also, even if they did fall within range to get him, New England is not a team that has been known to give up stuff to try to move up and grab specifically that quarterback position. Like I said, they got spoiled for the last 2 decades, nabbing Tom in the 6th. And if they think lightning's going to strike twice again and that they're not going to have to like spend and go get a quarterback and be aggressive if they want their next franchise quarterback, they're sadly mistaken. I really don't think that Mac Jones is the future of that franchise, because I sat here, about a month ago, Doug, we did a show, and I sat here, and I think Bailey Zappi 100% could compete with Mac Jones for the starting quarterback position. I really do think he could go pound for pound.
He let them boys know for sure. Next name I want to talk about too is Carson Wells coming out of XFL. Anybody watching the XFL up in here? I know I do.
I try to, but then they moved my Guardians. They moved my Guardians to Orlando, and now they're garbage.
Yeah, they were a pretty rough team last year for sure, man. Shout out to Todd Santio, man. He's competing for that quarterback position.
Yeah, I might have to jump on the Battlehawks bandwagon because this was painful.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, definitely, man. But yeah, man. Carson Wells, man, he's a fun player to watch, man. In my opinion, I wish they would have signed him earlier on in the preseason. We could have saw a little bit more of him. But I would, man, Patriots, I mean, they'd be a fool not to develop that guy into something beautiful. I mean, they're great at doing that with a lot of talent, man. So it should be pretty interesting. Now, moving on to the New Orleans Saints. Who dat nation? This one right here, Lynn Bolden. This one stings a little bit. This guy was on the Dolphins, a season or two ago, and he's really been an NFL journeyman, a true NFL journeyman. This guy, when he was at Kentucky, he had some off the field issues, and he has truly turned it around. And dude, he plays with anger, man. It's like he has this. It's fun to watch, man. And I don't quite get why he hasn't found a home yet, but he's a real fun player to watch, man. Another one is Shaq Davis. Very shocking. I thought this guy would be on the squad. Very good player. Any other names stick out to you guys? Feel free.
Jonathan Abram. He was a very, very high pick by the Raiders a few years ago, and that's a guy that could never get his. He just couldn't get it together in the NFL, bro. Like there was many games I watched where he was the difference between the Raiders winning and losing. I want to say it was like 2 years ago. He was the reason that Kansas City was allowed to crawl back into the playoff hunt because he just decided to not guard Travis Kelce. He was the last line of defense, and he saw Kelce running towards the end zone and decided to run away from him. And I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Gave him 15 yards. Oh my God. Yeah, Brian Edwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely, man. All right, taking and moving on here. Again, man, this is a really and Fernie Orgy. I know that name. There's Lucas Kroll, tight end. I know that name.
Jalen Smith. That's another guy that's a linebacker that he just can't seem to catch on, bro. Like he had talent coming out, and I think this is his third or fourth stop.
Watching tape on him though, he looks lost, like out there on the field. You know, half of the time he's just in no man's land.
But my thing is, there was a time where he wasn't, and it's like, what happened?
Yeah,
because like the descent wasn't gradual. It was like the floor got taken out from under him. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah, that's one of those guys, man. I hope to see him come back strong, man. He's such a dope player, man. But right now,
I think the clock is like his proverbial clock for his career has run out, bro. Like you can't have his tenure in the league and be playing at the level that he's playing. Like I think your comeback clock is over.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Hopefully come back, but yeah, it's gonna be real interesting, man. Moving on to the New York Giants, man. These are some of the Julian Davenport. That's a name very familiar with. To Sean Bauer. Notable cuts here.
What's it? James Crowder. James Robinson is a shock to me, but also Crowder because what is this receiver room?
Mm-hmm.
What is this receiver room? Like I like what they're doing on the defense. That defense was good beforehand, but like, golly, what are they like? I don't know. And once again, I'm not a Giants fan, so I'm not following y'all that closely. I'm not going to pretend to know your roster. So Giants fans can get upset and say, hey, you don't know what he's talking about. You're right. I don't know what I'm talking about. But, like, seriously, who are your receivers? And I'm not saying Jamison Crowder is, like, anything special, but, like, damn. Like, who's Daniel Jones throwing the ball to?
Yeah, I'm with you, because I'm looking at Jamison Crowder, and even if he's not, as physically gifted as someone else might be, Jalen Hyatt is their, next prodigy at wide receiver, but he'd have the experience to teach him some skills when it comes to the NFL game. I'm actually surprised by David Sills as well. David Sills produced for them last year, big time. He's a big body, 6'3", I think around 215, 220 wide receiver, but he's got some wheels on him. They cut him too.
Crazy, man. It's a cold world out there. This NFL. Man.
They really about to make Daniel Jones earn this contract. They're like, hey, we paid you. Oh, yeah. Now you gotta show us a little something.
Don't pull a hammy when it falls next time.
Mm-hmm.
MC Ran, man. Eric Ran, my dog, man.
Good team. It's your time to shine.
You know what it is. You know what it is. Nah, you got to be a team if you're gonna make this team. We're going for a Super Bowl.
You got to be a Georgia Bulldog.
Hey, Super Bowl or bust.
Yeah,
Super Bowl or bust, baby. Philly dogs, we here. Nah, I'm looking at the cuts, man. It was no real surprises. Trey Sermon, unfortunately, he just can't get it together in the NFL. Came out with a bunch of promise. Got drafted by San Francisco. As soon as he came in, though, took his first hit, and I think it knocked the confidence out of him. He was out for a bit. But, no, I mean, we got rid of a couple O linemen, wide receivers, Greg Ward. I was surprised Greg Ward didn't make our squad just as our fourth. We've got our starters locked. I don't think anyone was going to surprise us. Britton Covey was a surprise simply because we're not quite sure who was going to be our punt return or special teams guy. But, I mean, outside of that, dude, nothing really to see here.
Yeah.
I could dig it, man.
The Eagles have an embarrassment of riches, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's an embarrassment of riches.
And we're not done.
I know you're not. I know you're not. And it's irritating to me. Every time y'all do something good, my younger brother got to call me and be like, "Did you see who we got?" I'm like, "Shut up. I don't want to hear it." But don't get me wrong. It's payback because the last 5-6 years as a Rams fan, I'm like, "Did you see who we got?"
Oh yeah.
So it's just payback now.
Yeah, McVay had y'all selling a whole barn and then some.
Man, what you talking about? I had the chance to get some of my favorite players in a Rams jersey. Like, we was playing Madden. I was playing franchise mode. I was playing Ultimate Team in real life. Are you kidding me?
He cheated. He
100% cheated. I'm all right with it though.
I love it. Love to see it, man. Love to see it. Yeah, man. So yeah, real interested. Marvin Wilson, man. That's a guy. I'm like, that was a guy coming out of Florida State, man, where I was like, man, he gonna make it. This will be a team.
Not on that team. Do you know who they have at defensive tackle?
They're stocked up, bro. It's like this is A1. This is like as good as it gets football. These Philadelphia Eagles,
bro. We just gave Barnett permission to go seek a trade. That's how deep we are.
Go.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's crazy.
Hey, will y'all take a fifth for him? Because we would like him as well.
Hey, time is young. But Greedy, not so greedy, I guess, because he got cut too.
Yeah.
Really?
I was looking forward to having Greedy and shouting Greedy every time he got in.
Did Greedy get cut from y'all?
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like 2 days ago, I think.
Man, look here. Los Angeles Rams, not the Chargers. Listen, I need you to go and kick the tires on this kid. I'm sorry, I'm not confident what we got back there. I need help.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right, man. I'll go speed this up here. So Pittsburgh Steelers. Here are some of their cuts. Tanner Morgan, man, he's a pretty good quarterback for University of Minnesota.
Kenny Pickett got it, bro.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm just saying, but that would have been a fun guy to take him back up. Could definitely see him making the practice squad and maybe even finding another team in a year or two. But
Tanner Muse was the surprise here for me.
Yeah.
The surprise, not so much of a surprise because what's the kid? Was it Nick? Is it Nick Hampton? You know what I'm talking about? The guy that they drafted.
Yeah, I think it was.
Whatever his name is, I know I'm probably messing it up. Y'all forgive me, but like he's a monster. I think that's why Tanner Muse don't have a job no more because that kid is gonna be a beast, and him playing with TJ is gonna be gross.
Yeah. No, they look fantasy football this year. I picked up the Pittsburgh Steelers, man.
Oh no, I gave up. I gave up on fantasy football because they're just playing that shit in real life now. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It is definitely wild for sure, man. All right, man. Moving on to the next team, it's gonna be the San Francisco 49ers. A team that's stacked up, steroided up. Not saying they're roided up, but they have a Jack Diesel.
Wait, are you making a claim, Doug?
Here's the thing.
He did it. No, I'm just
here's the thing. I think that this is Second to the Philadelphia Eagles, I think
Golly.
this is the second most complete roster in the NFC,
Willie
possibly
Snead.
in the NFL. They have talent absolutely everywhere, and I hate this team with a passion. Like I want no good things to happen for this team or anyone on this team, so long as they decide to put that fucking jersey on. I don't want anything good to happen in their lives. But game recognized game, brother, and they got a lot of it. They got a lot of it. And really, I think their draft, the way that they drafted this year, kind of speaks to how they feel about their roster construction when you're taking a kicker in the third.
True.
Like, they don't need anything. They don't need anything. People could argue, oh, they need a quarterback. And maybe they do need a quarterback. We don't know. We do know that the Trey Lance saga is over, right? They shipped him off to Dallas. I think that was a mistake. Not by them. I think it was a mistake by Dallas to take him on. But then is Brock Purdy going to be who they hope he is? And if so, that's a steal because he's cost controlled for another 3 years. And the fact that he was Mr. Irrelevant, his contract ain't going to be nothing if they do end up getting there to pay him. And you think about it, Sam Darnold, I know people want to write him off as a bust, but look at the situations that Sam Darnold came into the league. Came into the Jets, that was a mess. Went over to Carolina when they were deconstructing everything. That was a mess. This is the most stable that he's been. Don't be surprised if you could see Sam Darnold's career get a resurgence just sitting over there with Kyle Shanahan and that offense, especially if something happens, with the kid, with Brock Purdy. If something happens with him where he goes down or he turns out not to be the guy. I know everybody wants to anoint this kid because of how well he came and played. And I always tell people, you got to let these guys, give them at least 2 years before we start crowning them if they're the real thing. Right. And they're like, oh, well, he came in, he didn't lose a game. If you guys be honest, don't be fanboys of your team. I'm a fanboy of my team, but just be honest. Go back and watch his tape. Those throws that he was making, he was getting bailed out a lot by his receivers, and there was a lot of things that should have happened that just didn't, right? But that's the way it is for a lot of people, for the game of football in general, right? You just need breaks to go your way. Mm-hmm. And he had a lot of breaks that went his way all the way up into the NFC Championship. But it's one thing to come in and play 7 games. It's another thing to survive 18 weeks in the NFL and then go play in the postseason and get through that grueling weeks. So does he have the durability for an 18-week regular season mixed with playoff ambitions? We're going to find out.
Now the team's got film on him. Yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult this time around. It's no year is the same. Your team could be the Super Bowl championship one year, and the next year, as you
can get 6 wins.
That's right.
Get 6 wins.
That's right. Looking at this roster, though, I mean, anytime you got a team where Chris Conley, Anthony Miller, and Willie Snead all get cut, you're stacked. I mean,
they only have one question going into the season right now, as it stands, and it's when are they going to pay? When are they going to pay Bosa?
Yeah,
because you don't have an excuse not to. You don't have any other major contract on your thing, outside of Fred Warner, and that's pennies. Yep. You got to pay Bosa. You don't have to pay a quarterback. You got Debo under contract. You got McCaffrey under contract. You don't have to pay anybody. What's taking so long? Now, me personally, I hope you guys don't pay him. I hope he says, F you, if you don't want to pay me, I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So that he goes to LA.
Absolutely. I want all the players. I don't care what his old personal beliefs or stuff is. Put that man in the horns right now.
Yeah. Let's get it. Show, man. All right. Moving on to the Seattle Seahawks, man. This NFC West is difficult, man. It's a tough division, man.
No, it's a tough division because it's awful, because it's god awful. It used to be the toughest division of football. Now it's the most disgusting thing to watch on the TV.
From a Rams perspective.
No, from anybody that's not a 49ers fan's perspective.
But not a whole lot to see here, man, for Seattle Seahawks, man. There was a few guys earlier on in camps that they had brought in and cut, but they're building up here. Then we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I almost thought this was Ronnie Brown from the Dolphins, but realized it's another Ronnie Brown too. I was like, man, he been in the league for a while, man. It's been 15 years.
Man, that would have been something.
Yeah,
did Don Gardner just get printed twice, or are there really two Don Gardners that got cut that happened to play corner? I don't know the roster well enough.
Hey, the story of the night is Rodrigo Blankenship getting cut by the Bucks.
Yeah, man.
That was weird. That was really
once again, Rams.
It was a duplicate, by the
way. Somebody. Not Samuel Sloman. We already went down that road, but somebody.
Yeah. I just checked. Yeah, it's just one Don Gardner. It was a
typo
from sporternews.com.
I'm fine. I just wanted to make sure.
Crazy.
Yeah, this roster, as much shit as I want to talk about the Seahawks, they have a pretty good roster. Like their biggest concern is the quarterback position. They drafted well last year. Like they hit on damn near everybody. And I got on this show at the beginning of the year like an entire asshole and laughed at their freaking draft because I did not know what they were doing. And I'm wearing egg on my face because them boys panned out like crazy. So if they, if they were able to put that together again for this year, and they got their captain and Bobby Wagner back, yeah, man, Seahawks are going to be good.
We're on the Buccaneers, fam.
Oh yeah, Tampa. Yeah. I'm sorry, I was back with the Seahawks, but yeah.
No, you good. You good.
No, you're good. Yeah,
a couple stuff I want to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's all good, man. I could go on rants about the Bills because I can't stand them.
Well, hold on. So since we're on the Bucks, I do want to take the time to acknowledge Ryan Jensen. Like that is a tough injury for them, man. With Ryan Jensen, him potentially having played his last snap in the NFL due to the severity of his injury, like that's crazy. I think we can all agree that the reason why that shit kind of fell apart last year for them was because of all the injuries that they had along the offensive line, and the fact that you're not going to get your starting center back for the second year in a row. That's going to be real rough for what they're trying to do over there, and especially with the quarterbacks that they have on the roster. Those boys need protection. I think that's another team to keep an eye on. I don't think that they're going to publicly say they're going in the toilet, but I think by week 3. They could be in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
By the time you got Baker Mayfield as your starting or quarterback, I think you've already made your statement.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Let him bake.
Couple of interesting. Man, Jose Ramirez. I want to say he was 6th or 7th round pick. Central Michigan, I believe it was. Man, really good player, man. Like, wow, like I don't understand why he didn't make that final roster. I could definitely see him making the practice squad, and they probably will have a pretty sizable practice squad. Cade Warner is son of Kurt Warner. That's a guy I was hoping to see get a shot. He looked pretty good, man. I did not know Kurt Warner had a son who played receiver until literally a few weeks ago. So I watched some highlights, and he looked pretty good from what I've seen. But definitely I could see where there could be some much needed development for sure. And then moving on to Tennessee Titans. This is just real quick. These are some of the names that they have that were
another team that doesn't have anything left to cut, dude.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that I am happy that I don't see on here with the Titans is Malik is not on here. There was talks that he was going to get cut from the quarterback position, but I don't think. What's the kid that they took this year?
Mr. Mayonnaise, Will Levis.
Yeah. Mayonnaise in the coffee.
Hellman.
Yeah, mayonnaise in the coffee guy. That's gross. I think the fact that they're keeping Malik on the squad is indicating that Levis ain't developing the way that they thought he would, or that he's not coming on as immediate as they thought they would. I think they were prepared to move off of Malik. There was reports. I don't know if you guys remember, like at the beginning of training camp, there was reports that he was going to be a roster casualty because they couldn't do anything with him. So I'm happy that he made it through.
Yeah, he showed some growth. I watched him during this offseason, and his pocket presence was much improved from last year. Last year, as soon as it broke down as far as the pocket, he took off. He didn't know which way he was running. He just took off.
But we all knew that he was going to be like. I think if you watch this tape, you all knew that like this guy was going to need some help at the NFL level.
Oh, for sure.
He's playing at Liberty.
Right.
Yeah.
What kind of defense are you going against?
Thank you. Somebody said it.
Austin P University. You know what I'm saying? All right, then we got the Commanders. And last team of the night, Washington Commanders.
Commanders? Question mark. Nobody knows.
I know.
I saw a petition. I saw that there's a real petition out right now from a group. I can't remember the name. I need to find it out. But there's a group of Native Americans that actually want the Redskin back because they said the lack of representation in the NFL. They miss having the representation in the NFL. I was like, come on with it, man.
Yeah.
People still ain't adjusted to the name. Like this. Let's get it back to the Skins anyway.
I remember because I saw that same petition and I knew it had a pretty significant number of people that were requesting it to come back.
Well, if I want them to do that, I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I want them to do that just so the Cleveland Guardians can go back to being the Cleveland Indians because it's ridiculous.
Agreed.
Oh yeah, it's weird as hell. Absolutely. All right, so I'm looking at a few names. Jake Fromm, that's the guy who lit it up in college, man, but he's just not
another Georgia Bulldog
really working out. Man.
He'll slide right in very nicely after we get rid of Mariota.
Who else do you guys have on your thing? You guys had another one that was
McCord.
Okay.
I believe it was Kyle, I think is his first name. I probably messed that up. But yeah, he showed out a little bit in the preseason, so I know we'll probably keep him at least by practice squad. But Mariota's just not impressing anyone right now.
Yeah, I
love the guy. I think he's a great human being, but I think
great human beings don't necessarily make great football players. Ask Antonio Brown.
I like that comparison, man. Hey, shout out to Anthony Montalvo, man. A little bit of a journeyman. Great year at UCF. Did pretty good at the Dolphins, but got traded literally just days before the first preseason game. Goes to Seattle, gets a little dinged up in his knee, and I think that's what probably started some of this. And then goes to Denver. They didn't want him. I guess he didn't pass a physical, but then passes a physical to go to Washington, and then here we are. So it goes to the ruthlessness. And again, as we wrap up this episode here today, it goes into the ruthlessness of this time of the year for football. You know, and the ruthlessness is absolutely insane. I mean, these are real people, right? So I salute to everybody, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they went further than we could ever take and go, kind of thing, man. But yeah, man, that being said, we want to thank everybody for tuning in to another episode of the Touchdown with Doug Smith, my co-host, Adrian Soup Campbell. Appreciate you coming out, big dog.
Yes, sir.
And then also as well, special guest Arrik Wren, and he'll be coming back again soon, hopefully.
We're gonna have to have Arrik back for sure during the regular season. Doug, I'm with shameless plug. I just wanted to shout out my guy, Select Screen. That's my brother. If you guys enjoy gaming content, especially the fighting games, the new Tekken, the new Mortal Kombat, my boy Select got y'all covered. Head over to his channel. He's I think at Select Screen, and it's Select with the 5. So go check him out, man.
Oh yeah. After this recording, Soup, send me the link and I'll post it down below for sure. Man, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is one of our longer episodes, man. But man, an hour 40, man. There was a lot to talk about, man. So Arrik, thank you for sticking around with us. Adrian, you too, man. We all got families,
Thank you
man.
for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime. You're always welcome, man. Y'all have a blessed night. Smash that subscribe button. I'm gonna hit y'all with the livest, dopest outro, and we'll catch y'all next time on the Touchdown with Doug Smith.
Touchdown with Doug Smith, celebrate, that's a new move. Heisman, 2 views, catch them on YouTube. NFL coverage, interviews, who lose, who win, who lose. Comedy, you choose, it's not about moolah. The QB's like Tua is missing in action. No L's on my shooter. Play it like Marino, it's a gamble like casino. Hungry for it, but you know we still gon' try to feed the people. Rivalries will lead the conference. Cowboys of the Eagles, will Belichick be a threat? Better check. Tomlin on deck, much respect to the vet. What to expect? Gotta tune in for the rest. Make sure to sub, like, check. At the best, bad boy, the sports podcast. For the threat across the north, east, south, in the west. Sitting back clueless, time to tune in. Now another sports center, it's a movement.